In the quiet mountain village of Cloudcroft, New Mexico, life usually moves slowly. Tall pine trees surround small homes, neighbors know each other, and crime is rare. But in early 2025, one house on Heather Way would become the center of a disturbing mystery. Inside that home lived Deana Rene Thetford and her husband, Craig Thetford. Two outsiders, they seemed like a normal couple, but behind closed doors, their relationship was unraveling. Little is publicly known about Deana's early childhood. Friends described her as a private person, someone who kept to herself. She eventually settled in New Mexico, where she built a quiet life, but the man she married had his own story. Craig Thetford was 60 years old. He was known by family as a hardworking man, a man who valued independence. Family members described him as someone who loved the outdoors and enjoyed a quiet rural lifestyle. At some point in their lives, Craig and Deana met. Their relationship eventually turned into marriage. For a while, the couple appeared stable, but by 2025, their marriage had started to collapse. According to investigators, the two were in the middle of a divorce. Arguments had become more common. Tension inside the house had grown, and soon, Craig would suddenly disappear. In January 2025, family members stopped hearing from him. At first, it seemed unusual, but not alarming. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. Still, there was no contact. Finally, concerned relatives contacted the Otero County Sheriff's Office. They requested a welfare check. Deputies went to the couple's home in May. When they spoke with Deana, she offered an explanation. She told them Craig had left. According to her story, he had gone to Mexico. She claimed he had traveled there to fish with a new girlfriend. It was a shocking story, but deputies had no immediate evidence to challenge it. For the moment, they left, but something about the situation felt wrong. Craig's family did not believe the story, and soon, investigators would begin asking deeper questions. What they eventually discovered would reveal a crime hidden in plain sight, and a secret that had been sitting just outside the house. After the welfare check, investigators began examining the details, and the story told by Deana Thetford quickly started to fall apart. She had claimed that her husband, Craig Thetford, had traveled to Mexico with another woman, but investigators checked border crossing records. Craig had not crossed the border. In fact, he had not left the United States at all. That was the first red flag. Then investigators noticed something else. In the front yard of the property, there was a large hole, roughly 4 to 5 feet deep. When deputies asked about it, Deana gave another explanation. She said the hole was meant for a flower bed, but to investigators, it looked more like a grave. Meanwhile, Craig's family continued pushing for answers. They insisted something terrible had happened, and soon, the investigation would take a dramatic turn, because someone close to Deana had come forward. Her own daughter. According to investigators, the daughter told police something chilling. She said her mother had confessed. The daughter told authorities that Deana described a violent confrontation inside the house. According to the statement, Craig had pushed her down the stairs, and in that moment, Deana said she was blinded by rage. Those were the exact words she allegedly used. She told her daughter she shot Craig several times. The confession shocked investigators, but they still needed physical evidence. Soon, they would obtain a search warrant. Deputies returned to the home on June 17th. Body cameras recorded everything. They began searching the property carefully. Inside the carport, they noticed a strange pile of items: carpets, boxes, random debris, and underneath that pile, investigators discovered something horrifying: a body, wrapped in plastic, covered with blankets and rugs, hidden beneath trash and household items. The remains were badly decomposed, but investigators already knew who it was. It was Craig Thetford, the man who was supposedly fishing in Mexico. The medical examiner later confirmed the cause of death: multiple gunshot wounds. It was officially ruled a homicide, but the disturbing discoveries didn't end there, because by the time the body was found, Deana was gone. After Craig's death, investigators believe Deana Thetford tried to hide the crime. According to court records, the body remained inside the house for days. Eventually, she wrapped it, first in a rug, then in plastic, then in blankets. But moving a body is not easy, and investigators say she had help, not from another person, but from a machine. Authorities believe Deana tied something to the body and used a tractor. She dragged Craig's remains from inside the house into the carport. There, she hid the body. She covered it with debris, carpet pieces, boxes, random objects. Investigators later found mothballs and white powder covering the remains, possibly an attempt to mask the smell. For months, the body remained there, just feet away from the house, while life continued. But something else caught investigators' attention: money. When deputies first spoke to Deana, she claimed the couple had large safes in the home. She told officers the safes contained up to $1.5 million, but she said she couldn't open them. Later, a locksmith opened the safes. Inside, investigators found around $84,000 in cash, along with firearms and ammunition. Then they uncovered another surprise. In February, shortly after Craig disappeared, Deana purchased property in Seymour, Texas. The purchase was made with cash. She also bought herself a Ford Mustang. To investigators, the timing looked suspicious. While Craig's family was searching for him, his wife was starting a new life in another state. Police believe she relocated to Texas, hoping distance would keep her safe from suspicion. But investigators were already building their case, and once Craig's body was discovered, an arrest warrant was issued. Now, the search for Deana had begun. By the summer of 2025, authorities were closing in. The suspect, Deana Rene Thetford, was no longer in New Mexico. Investigators learned she had moved to Texas, specifically to the small town of Seymour. Law enforcement agencies coordinated across state lines. The Texas Rangers, local police, and the Otero County Sheriff's Office worked together. Finally, on July 8, 2025, Deana was located. She was arrested in Wichita County, Texas, and taken into custody. She was charged with first-degree murder and tampering with evidence. Authorities booked her into the Wichita County Jail. She was held without bond. The quiet life she tried to start in Texas was over. Investigators believed the truth was simple: a violent argument, a moment of rage, and a decision that would change everything. Court documents say Deana herself admitted what happened to her daughter, that during the confrontation, she became overwhelmed with anger, blinded by rage. Those words would echo through the investigation, but prosecutors believe this was more than a moment of emotion. They point to the months of deception, the hidden body, the false stories, the move to another state, all signs of a deliberate cover-up. Meanwhile, Craig Thetford's family was left grieving. For months they searched for answers. For months they wondered if he was still alive. The truth was far darker. He had never left the house. His body had been there the entire time, hidden just outside, in the carport. The case shocked the quiet community of Cloudcroft, because it revealed something terrifying. Sometimes, the most dangerous place is not a dark alley or a lonely road. Sometimes, it's inside the home. And sometimes, the person you trust most is the one hiding the truth.